This is a test to see if I can get this Gator Grip universal socket to help me get some broken bolts out. Although it won't really help me get the broken bolts out, what it can do is maybe save me some of the time during the process. I was doing a little bit of transmission maintenance a couple years ago, and I wanted to drop the pan and change the filter, but what ended up happening was a couple of the bolts broke. It's an old Explorer, and I had a couple bolts break, and I said I'm not going to do this right now because I didn't want to have the whole project. I just wanted to do a quick change of the fluid and filter. So what I did at that time was just drain the fluid and refilled it without dropping the pan, and then I knew sooner or later I wanted to get back around to changing the filter, and I want to get a look inside the pan because the transmission was rebuilt in 2015, and it's got about 82,000 on it since then. So I wanted to get a look inside this pan, which I've already cleaned it. There was just, the magnet wasn't so bad. I got some pictures of that, and this filter doesn't look too bad either. So the transmission is in good health, which is good news. But I have ended up with 5 broken bolts around the pan, and I'll show you which ones those were. And I had to get the solenoid pack out of the way because it's got that circuit board on the bottom, and I didn't want to mess up this solenoid pack because I'm doing welding to get these bolts out, and so I want to make sure I got that out of the way. And I just took some aluminum foil and stuffed it up there to keep the gasket nice and clean. There's a gasket that rests in this area. This is one of the bolts I was able to get out of the 5. That's all I've done so far. And this is the broken bolt right here. And then a lot of people will just use the like a nut they'll put on the broken end of the fastener. Like, let's see if I can set that aside. This is, say, the broken bolt right here. That's flush mounted with whatever they're doing. They'll put the washer or the nut over the top, and they'll fill that up with weld, and then turn that to get it off. But the problem with doing it that way with what I'm working on is I'm upside down with my stick welder going in the upward direction, and it's really hard to try to actually fill this up. And I found I have a lot of difficulty with the most important step of this, which is making sure I got full contact with the head of the bolt inside of here. There's a tendency to, touch the stick welder or the electrode to the sides of this nut, and then every time I tried to take it off, it just popped off right at the same break point, and I didn't make any progress. My brother-in-law told me about this technique, which is you take a fender washer, and it looks like this. And this is the end of the bolt that's exposed. You put this fender washer down. I found it's best to use your ground clamp to hold that down on one side and a vice grip on the other side. And then just get your electrode contact right in the middle here and build up a weld bead in the middle, and then grind that flat, and then put a bolt over the top of that like this. And that's what worked for me. Then I can put a ton of slag around the bottom of this bolt to get that all straightened up. And this is the one I got loose, and you can see it wasn't even straight, but it took it right off. And it keeps this head away from the slag area, so you can still get your tool on there. It's not like a ball of slag on the side of it, and so on. And that allowed me to get the first one of the 5 so far on the transmission pan taken off there. It worked real well. The idea here is I thought maybe I could save a little time on this last step by not having to put this screw on here. If I just put some weld slag around the fender washer like this, it's not going to be perfect. It's already irregular, but I can make it more irregular as I go along, and then just use this this Gator Grip over the top of the weld slag. As long as it fits inside this socket, I can use the Gator Grip to grip right onto the weld slag, and I can skip this step of adding this screw on top. Now, I'm not working on an exhaust manifold here. These bolts, these are M6 bolts, and they're only supposed to be about 80 inch-pounds. This car is almost 18 years old now. It's an '02 Explorer, and these are pretty rusted on there. Even though the transmission was built 5 years ago, I think they may have used Loctite, because on some of the other ones I saw that. So I put a little heat on these, and then just the heat from the welding too, I'm sure, helped it come out. So, I mean, if this was an exhaust manifold, I don't think I would want to try this because I just end up breaking this thing. It says it can do up to 100 foot-pounds. I'm only trying, I think what I need is probably about 30 foot-pounds. It's, although these bolts were breaking, they were breaking with the head on there and under full stress. But now that the heads are broken off, it shouldn't be full stress anymore. So let's give that a try, and I'll show you a view underneath the car when I'm looking at. And here's a view from underneath the transmission. That solenoid pack that was sitting on my workbench goes right into this corner right here. And so these were where all the broken bolts were, is around this corner. So I didn't want to damage that, so I took it out. And there's a gasket under here. I want to keep that safe, so I just put this foil and just kind of stuck it up there to keep it some spray from hitting it. This one is the one I did just get out, and because it's wrapped right around the solenoid pack is where the problem was. That one came out. I think I'll work on this one next, and I'll put my fender washer on there. So I have 4 more to go. 1 here, 2, 3, and then 1 all the way over here somewhere. This one. So 5 bolts out of the 16 broke getting these off. I tried using heat on here, but this is the best I can do with that. I'll show you one of the fender washers that's just the right size. I took the finish off of one side and left it on the other side. So there's my fender washer. I'll hold that on using the grounding clamp on one side and a vice grip on the other side. Because what I found in trying this was just using the ground clamp, what ends up happening is it tends to tip the washer up like that. And I want it nice and flat. So the other problem is that when your electrode, I'm not perfect at welding, so when my electrode sticks to the washer or screw, I end up pulling this washer off and it goes flying, and I got to go look for it. So it's better to take the extra time to double clamp the washer in place. Okay, that's a video of my washer and my slag. I purposely made it look sloppy like that so that the Gator Grip tool will have something to grip onto. I'm going to let this cool down a little bit, and then I'll see how well that locks on there. And we'll see how this goes. I can get that pressed up on there. I know I got to push up, and it looks like it's gripping. It's not super tight, but it looks like it's gripping onto the slag. Now there's a plastic thing in the middle here. I don't want to melt that, but I got to set the camera down, and I'll put the tool on this and see how it goes. Okay, well, I'm not sure if I partly unscrewed the screw, and that's the screw is pulled out a little bit, or if I just broke off everything that wasn't round on the weld slag. My washer fell off. So I'm going to put the wrench to this and see if that's the screw or if that's just my weld slag, because I got something I can grip onto now. So I'm going to put a vice grip on there and see if I can get that off. Okay, it looks like it did in fact make the screw, help me get the screw out. The screw is pretty tight in that hole, but it is coming out. I'm up against this cross member here too, but it's coming out. So it did save me quite a bit of time in a lot of welding steps, and I got that one out. So exponential savings in time using the gripping socket, or whatever it's called, Gorilla Grip or whatever. So it did help. So if you're working on bolts that are not too difficult to get out, I mean, obviously not an exhaust manifold here, but these are only M6 bolts, and it saved me quite a bit of time in getting this one out. I got 3 more to go, and I'm going to crank these guys out. All right, here's the next one. I didn't get this one too centered, but I'm hoping it still holds up. So I'm going to try this universal socket on this one and see how it goes. Okay, well, in using the socket, it did the same thing as the last one. It broke off everything but a nib right in the middle. Of course, my weld was pretty far off on this one. What I'll try again is using the vice grip and just see if I can grab onto that and take it out. See how it goes. Well, the vice grip, I got about a half a turn. It looked like it was coming off, and then it just broke right off. So this one's super tight. I'll try again with another washer on this one. So I was looking on the second try. Put some lateral slag on there. And it looks like this tool will lock onto there pretty good. And we'll see if I can do that without breaking my weld off again. We'll see how it goes. For some reason, I don't know why this screw was so tight. It's rusted, or these are open, by the way, from the top. If you go around the corner here, they're exposed, and there's probably, I don't know, that's where the air conditioning drips down or something, but this screw is pretty rusted for being tucked away like that. So I'm not sure why. This one was tight all the way out. I wasn't sure if it was going to break even halfway out, if it was going to snap off. But it broke free of the washer, but the Gorilla Grip tool, or whatever that's called, I have to look it up, it looks like it worked. It saved me a considerable amount of time on welding. So it was worth it, even if it breaks before I get these last two screws out of here. It'll still be worth it, I think. I'm going to get one more off and then try to get some family time in tonight. So this was pretty good. I moved a lot quicker on these last two than I did on the first one. And number 4 of 5 looks like that. See how this one goes. Wish me luck. Okay, well, apparently the shearing motion of this this universal socket is a little bit much for my crappy welds. This is what it looks like. It moved about 1/4 of a turn, and then it looks like this. So I'm going to have to add a little more slag on here. Maybe I'll just add, so it looks like it's pretty solid in the middle, I'll just add a little bead to the right and left and see if I can use those for leverage. Let's see. Okay, well, I finally got this guy right here. It was super tight. It took me a couple more tries, and I couldn't get it using the Gator Grip, so I had to do one of these deals. And when I did this, the first time I tried this, it worked. So it seems like this is a stronger way to go, and I was able to get the one out that I couldn't get out the other way. Now, this other one over here I got out just now. I think it was this one right here. Where is that? Right there. And that one, I couldn't figure out a way of getting my clamp up in there to get the bolt to be able to use the bolt. So I was able to do that one by just using the Gator Grip on the back of this washer. So I did my sort of trimodal bumps on the bottom, and then was able to get that to grip on there and take it right out. Okay, so I got some Scotch-Briting to do here, or maybe some Brillo pad, and I got to make up for lost time with the wife and all that. So I'm feeling happy that I'll be able to have all 16 of my screws back, and they'll all have plenty of anti-seize on them this time. Getting a little rain down here. You haven't lived until you've had Mercon 5 or Mercon V up your nose, which just happened. So I hope you all have the kind of luck I had here. This is fun for me because I got a desk job. So signing off for now. Thanks a lot. So look inside the filter. This is a 5R55S, 300 and something thousand miles, 301, but about 82,000 on the rebuilt transmission. This is the filter they put in when they rebuilt it. So it's been almost 5 years since this has been in there. The pan was pretty clean except for some magnet sludge, and then this is what's in the filter. Pretty small. So it looks probably bad on the video, but it's pretty small stuff compared to a dirty fingernail. Anyway, so that's what's inside the filter. I always like to check stuff like that and tear it apart and see what I got to get just a general idea of the health of the transmission. So I think I got a few miles left in this guy.